If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Steve Farrell. Steve is the author of A New Universal Dream and co-founder and worldwide executive director of Humanity's Team, a nonprofit organization based in Boulder, Colorado. Humanity's Team helps people throughout the world awaken to their deeper self and the interconnectedness of everything in the universe, and provides educational programs supporting people on their conscious journey. Every dollar of revenue, 100%. That makes me think of Paul Newman, Newman's Own, that organization, goes towards their work supporting conscious evolution, planetary awakening, and flourishing at every level of life. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Carissa. Great to be here with you and your viewers and listeners.
Thank you so much. And are you calling from Boulder or Zooming from Boulder today?
I am coming to you live from Boulder, Colorado, our Humanities Team office and studios, etc. Beautiful day here.
Wonderful. And I'm actually not too far from you. I'm about 10 miles away in Lafayette, Colorado.
You are like right around the corner. Yeah.
I know. We're going to have to see each other in person sometime. Maybe I could take you out to breakfast or coffee or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're just, as a crow flies, that's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved from the Los Angeles area about 4 years ago. So we ended up here because my cousin's here, we have family here, and I just love it. It's been amazing. Although we did have that crazy storm yesterday at night. Did you hear that? The hail?
The hail was the size of golf balls out where you are in Erie. We didn't have the hail quite that heavy here in Boulder last night.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Wow. Yeah. So sorry to hear that. I hope your car wasn't parked outside.
Oh, no. We're all okay. But you're right. In Erie, I think it was even worse than here, which is so interesting because my friend lives in Erie. I don't know why we're talking about the weather, but it's a Colorado thing, you know. But anyway, I just was curious, how did you end up in Boulder?
I ended up in Boulder. Well, boy, do you want me to just give you the short story, moving from Silicon Valley, or the longer story? So I
don't know, whatever you feel like. We have about 50 minutes.
Great. Well, I moved here in 2007 with my wife and two kids. They're now young adults. My daughter is 18, going to NYU, the Tisch School, here in the fall. And then my son works for Humanities Team, this nonprofit. He's 21, lives here with us. Since 2007. So we've been here 15 years and never looked back. You know, life is so much just about chapters. It's like a book, because if you really stay open to universe, allow yourself to be guided by those doors that are opening and those other doors that have to close to make room for these doors that are opening, then you'll be taken right to where you're supposed to be. And as you know, in my story, I moved here from Silicon Valley, and I was in the right place at the right time before being married and having kids to start two businesses that just went huge, from two guys, used furniture, and an executive suite.
Yeah, that's amazing. I do want to get deeper into your story, but that's just wonderful. Was it nature that drew you to Boulder, or you and your wife decided together?
It was, well, my wife went to CU Boulder.
Oh, perfect. I see.
In the 80s, had worked for IBM and had come out with my customers. You know, there's a big plant up here.
That's right. In Longmont, right?
Just on the north side of town. But we came here because I'd completed my life as an entrepreneur. I'd sold all of my companies, and these companies, I left these business associations that I was in, and I'd launched Humanities Team with Neil Donald Walsh, founder of Conversations with God, in June 2003. So we were 4 years into the Humanities Team thing. When I was an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, and we were raising money and hiring just gobs and gobs of people, building a business culture, no better place to be than Silicon Valley. When I sold everything and just devoted my life to service to this one, which is Gaia, which is the universe, which is the cosmos, which is the Humanities Team story. When I did that, there was no reason any longer to base myself in Silicon Valley. That is not the place, even today, that you'd necessarily want to be if you're looking at creating conscious living worldwide by 2040, which is our objective in Humanities Team.
Okay. No offense, Silicon Valley, but maybe you can bring it back there. Now that you're here, bringing it back to Silicon Valley. That would be amazing. Well, do you believe that everyone has a mission, and how can we discover this?
I believe that everybody comes in life. You've heard this thing that said is don't die with the music within you. We've all heard this.
Is that Wayne Dyer that said that?
That is, in fact, Wayne Dyer with his daughter, Serena Dyer, wrote a book. This was the title of the book, Don't Die with Your Music in You. And this is it's about our mission. It's about our dream. It's about our journey through life. It's about just what we're called to do. And so conscious living really is clear about this. And there's a whole process in conscious living where we understand how we allow these doors to close, which then creates opportunity for doors to open, which takes us then to that mission, that dream, those goals.
That's amazing. And just a side note, it's May 10th and it's Wayne Dyer's birthday, although he's passed on, and we share the same birthday. So I met him and figured that out.
You want to hear something really funny?
Okay.
We had a huge program, Humanities Team, this morning. I was with Serena Dyer and Sage Dyer, and right in the middle, we had over 1,000 people with us. And right in the middle of the program, they said, today was our dad's birthday. So I actually did know that.
You didn't know. Did you just find out today during the program?
This morning, a couple of days ago, I'm on a call with over 1,000 people. We've got a program called Messages from the Afterlife, a free program involving his family. Yeah, and just this morning, Serena Dyer saying, our whole family's here. We're celebrating Wayne's 83rd birthday, which would have been today.
Wow. That is just so special and magical. Amazing that synchronicity. Yeah, that it's his day. And I wanted to share another synchronicity and I thought was interesting that I got an email from your director of operations, from Dee, talking about your book being a 50-year journey. And it's actually my 50th today.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Talking about a synchronicity. Well, yeah. So my book comes out, as you know, May 24, just around the corner. It's available on Amazon now, and Barnes & Noble will carry it. There's an ebook, an Audible book is coming out. Yeah. And boy, it's my 50-year journey, which is really an unbelievable story. It's a true story, but it actually was written not about me. It was written. Well, it is written about me, but it was written for the reader as a guide on this conscious journey, because I'm sure we'll get into this on our conscious journey. There are many, many challenges, especially in the early part of the journey. And throughout the book, I stop and say, oh boy, this happened. This is what I learned. I do that throughout the book. So to provide tools and my own kind of learned lessons throughout this 50-year journey for the reader.
That's amazing. And how I got connected with you, I first learned about you through Adam Hall.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because I interviewed Adam. His publicist reached out to me to be interviewed. I interviewed him. And then he was doing a conference. I think it was the Global Oneness. Is that your
Global Oneness Summit? That's our summit. Humanities.
That's your summit. Okay. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is amazing. I'm so in alignment with this. And so I got on your email list, and eventually I saw that you did an interview with him, and I said, oh, wow, I would love to interview Steve. And then how the universe works, your publicist reached out to me. And then a few days later, Dee also reached out to me to be interviewed on my show. So I was like, oh yeah, I was meant to interview you and connect with you somehow. And then I realized that you lived in Boulder. So even greater reason to connect.
No kidding. Yeah. Well, and you've got a wonderful show and podcast. And
oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're definitely kindred spirits, because our whole thing, again, we're a nonprofit, 501c3, no shareholders. So the whole thing here is supporting people on their conscious journey. With the download that we got was make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, 17 years from now. And we actually have a strategy to do that.
That's amazing. Do you want to talk about that strategy? Is it through exponential growth? Do you want to have pioneers, people that carry this mission on for your organization?
So the synchronicities here, we years ago, when we were 20 years old in June. So we're a mature nonprofit now.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a milestone, right? 20 years. I mean, big
years. It's a lot of, Neil and I launched it in Wilsonville, Oregon, June 2003. My son was actually taking his first steps at home when we launched it. So here we are 20 years later. But, we call it inside of Humanity's Team. My mother-in-law actually came up with this term, which is God job. Because she was hearing me describe, oh, this happened and then this happened. And she says, oh, that sounds like a God job. And I said, God job, that's an interesting term.
I've never heard that before.
And of course, Neil Donald Walsh, co-founder Conversations with God. But in fact,
does he say when God winks?
Does he say what?
When God winks? Because I've heard God job. I haven't heard of God job, but I've heard of when God winks.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a continuation of just winks every day and every moment.
Right.
We have no business. The way we were founded 20 years ago and what we've grown into now, we have the largest true streaming platform for conscious education in the world. It just was against all odds. There was no money. There was no organizational structure. Here we are. Because there was one thing after another that presented itself, people, resources, funders, etc. And we started outside of the country. So half of this streaming is outside of the United States and then half is inside. And if your focus is making conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040, then you better have a huge presence outside the US, and we do.
Wow, that's amazing. So that is such an incredible mission and passion that you have. So for people listening to this, how can they discover their mission? Would it be through their passions or paying attention to these synchronicities that we were talking about? Or is there something deep inside of people that they can tap into?
Yes, and yes. So briefly, if I were going to reduce it down, what it is there's all of the worldly noise that we're familiar with, right? When there's this roller coaster kind of world where this is happening, given to you, taken away, this whole roller coaster world. When we pay attention to the worldly noise, our family, friends, academic associations, coworkers, etc., when we instead tune in to that still small voice, for me, it's more of a feeling than a voice, but it's extremely clear. It is there in every moment. I'll give you an example. If you're in a great relationship and somebody has a crush on you or something, we've all had that, and it can be a really attractive person. That still small voice will say, don't do that. You have something really beautiful now. Don't, so this is just, so it's not too
one
abstract.
Example. Yeah.
This one example, there are thousands, there are guardrails here on this whole still small voice thing. And if we just stay with that still small voice and the beauty of what it is and the magic of what it is and the destiny of what it is, we live the most amazing life ever. It's like autonomous living instead of autonomous driving. Now, if we want to get into more specifics, Humanities Team a year ago started a program called Changing Humanity's Future with Neale Donald Walsch and the Conversations with God Foundation. If you go to changinghumanitiesfuture.org, you'll see action steps there, and you can click on it. It's free. And it lays out a whole series of action steps that we developed, pulled together from all the work that we've done and from the Conversations with God books, where, in my belief anyway, that is God talking to Neale and saying, hey, you've already accomplished this. Take these steps and you'll get there. There will no longer be this existential crisis thing. Just keep going. We reduced all of that down to action steps there on the page. We also have lots of free programs at humanitiesteam.org with Neale Donald Walsch, Michael Beckwith, Panache Desai, and others. Free programs is right at the top. It says programs. Just pull down the free programs that talk to this very specifically, where the video trainings are about how do we really tune into that still small voice so we go to this destiny that we all were led to live.
That's wonderful. Were you always in touch with that voice, that small voice, when you were younger? And did you follow it, or what happened?
I would say yes. Yes, I did. And this was probably the magic here for me, because you mentioned my book, New Universal Dream. By the way, if you go to a newuniversaldream.com, you can see it and the book. And this, I give away my masterclass, which is a $300 masterclass called Conscious Leadership, that's there, and there are chapters that are unlocked there. So,
can I
and
just
it's
say one thing to our audience? Yeah, if you pre-order by May 24th, you get this amazing class.
It's $300 masterclass called Conscious Leadership. Yeah, so it's a really cool offer. The reason we offered that is because we really want to get this whole New Universal Dream. We'll talk about what that is later, but out in the world, and then the whole journey to get there. Now, the story I tell in the book is that I did honor that still small voice. That was a perceptive question. I grew up on the East Coast with 6 brothers and sisters, a divorced
wow,
a little home, 1,300 square feet. There are 8 of us and a dog living in this little home with a divorced mom. So just like most of your
this visual of just total chaos.
There you go. So I'm sure viewers can relate, right? I did not grow up in privilege at all. So I then left that. I moved to California by myself, listening to that still small voice. And bam, I end up right in the right spot. I start 2 companies that go to 75 million in revenue rapidly. That gets me into the Young Presidents Organization. And in my chapter, there were 50 of us. And Gavin Newsom was one of my partners in the chapter. Hamid Moghadam, who runs the largest real estate equity trust in the world, 110 billion value, was in my chapter. Annie Cunningham, who was Steve Jobs' marketing genius that helped launch the Macintosh, she was in my chapter. That's only 3. I could tell you about the whole chapter. But so I went to the center of wealth creation from that little home by listening to my still small voice. And then I did what I would recommend anybody do if they find themselves in the same place, which is I learned the lessons I was to learn, and I rejected this whole power, fame, and fortune thing, and I U-turned into this whole conscious journey. That was when I sold everything. I left, and with Neale Donald Walsch, launched Humanities Team. And this is where I found the real gold. The fool's gold was in Silicon Valley. I found real gold, real treasure on the conscious journey, which I know is what your program's about.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Thanks for saying that. When you reached that success twice, which is incredible, did you feel like there was something more, or did you feel like an emptiness, or did you feel like a drive, like, oh, what's next? What's my next company? What do I want to do?
So I had my awakening experience in mid 1995. So I was well into it here by the time I got out to 2000, 2001, where I sold everything. This is a journey. We go deeper and deeper into this conscious journey. What I witnessed, and there are meetings called forums where we meet privately, and then we're sworn to absolute confidentiality and secrecy. I'd never share the things I heard, but in the overall, what I will share is these people that mint money, the issues and challenges going on with their partner, their kids, coworkers, their friends who they went to college with, and so on. Where because you're so driven, you've hit the jackpot, right? And now you're really at it in terms of keeping that jackpot going. What does that do? That's marginalizing. That's taking a time and attention away from all of these really beautiful people in your life. It's not that it happened to all of them, but I would say most of them, because the adulation that's coming at you, the desire to keep hitting the jackpot, the intense competition, it makes it extremely challenging to live consciously. I will say that some can, the Dalai Lama, Patagonia, there are organizations and there are people that are successful in this. They hit the jackpot. They're incredibly famous, but they manage to, even through all the adulation, stay centered in this whole conscious living thing. It's very hard to do though.
Yeah, that's interesting. And there's this feeling, there might be with some of those people, that feeling of sacrifice, that this is the price you pay. This is, to get that quote success that society puts so much value on. And of course, those people, building the companies put so much value on. And it's just wonderful that you had this awakening and you maintained your heart and you knew there was a bigger vision for yourself and for humanity. That's amazing.
And that's the thing where you were asking that perceptive question earlier. Did you follow that still small voice? This is the thing, because I will tell you, my family was horrified. They were when you
say your family, can I just clarify, your wife?
Not my wife. I was led to my wife, and boy, what a beautiful story that is. But my brothers and sisters were.
Oh, I see.
Brother flew out, and it was like, oh my God, don't do this, don't walk away. You've hit the jackpot. Keep going. There's 7 figures every single year in this. Why in the world would you leave this? And they cared about me. They loved me. So I'm not sharing that this was. I was mad or concerned with them, but it's what the world does when you have success. My neighbors, by the way, thought I was the biggest rock star in the world. 2 $75 million companies in no time. Bam, bam, bam. Best venture capital there for the second one. And then when I sold it all and walked away, they thought, what is this guy doing? Has he lost his mind? What's going to happen to this family? So totally, the world is like, and again, a lot of them care about you. I'm not trying to be mean here, but there's extraordinary discipline required to follow that still small voice when the world is thinking you've made a huge mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And just out of curiosity, real quick, what were the businesses? Was it technology, software?
Technology, yeah. I was with IBM in the 80s, and then I with another guy, we started a digital integration company. The first one is called the Enterprise Networking Systems, ENS. And we were Inc. 500 twice, almost a third time, just growing like crazy. Again, used furniture, 2 guys, used little executive suite in a very inexpensive part of the Bay Area called South San Francisco. And then we rocketed to 75 million in revenue in 10 years. And then within the first company, then we gave birth to a second company that was consulting, no products at all, just consulting for large, like the Gap and PeopleSoft and Oracle, companies like that, where we had just these engineers that we build out at hundreds of $1,000s a year. It was called Netigy. And in 2 years, we took that company to 75 million in revenue and 750 people worldwide at its peak.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so because I love stories, I want to hear the story of you meeting your wife. So this was after you sold your companies?
So this is, this story is, I was single in there and dating, and the companies were doing, this first one was doing real well. So, there was a Harvard MBA who was attractive. I was dating, and then after that, there was this attorney also really attractive that I dated after that. And the attorney was the one where she came to me at one point and she said, I never imagined that I was going to date some guy that can't tell a good dirty joke. And I remember she was like, that was not a nice thing that she was saying to me. It was like, I'm too nice a guy or something. And so I broke up with her, and that was the place where I said, I really need to get my head screwed on straight here on the date, and be clear about what am I looking for. It's just an attractive,
because you were just reacting to attractive, women,
communicative and fun and all of that.
Right.
And so Stephanie worked in the company actually through my glass office. She was, I could see her out there. She started in a very junior position, just the sweetest person that would do anything. And I said, God, what an incredibly nice woman, just thoughtful and open-hearted and so on. And
what did she do for the company?
Marketing. Yeah, she was
marketing. Okay.
Yeah. So I just for a year, we did all these business meetings so I could get to know her, because you basically have to know you're going to marry him before you start dating him, which is a little bit of a stressful thing.
Okay. Yeah. You wanted to make sure before you started dating. Oh, that's good. That's good. You knew what you wanted. Okay. So then you had to ask her out. You didn't have any work policies against dating.
Oh boy. My CFO and our senior vice president engineering, they were like, when is she leaving the company? I mean, seriously, she is not going to be in this company anymore. Right. And she did stay in for a few more years. So I'm not recommending this, but it did work in our case. We just last year celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. Okay. So you had to make sure it was a clean slate and everything. And then she felt the same way about you, or did it take some convincing of dating her?
Yeah, no, she said to me, you're a Boy Scout. I mean, you're really good-hearted, and you're not flighty, and you do want to focus on really building successful things. She saw me in all those years. Let me tell you, entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. I tell this story in this book. It's unbelievable the challenges you're overcoming every single day. She saw me persevere through that to where we raised almost $200 million for that second company because of the reputation I developed in the first company. So she knew, he's a good bet. He's like, I've seen him up close, and yes, I can marry this guy.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So how did she feel about this? Did you guys come together with this mission? Does she help you with your nonprofit, or how do you guys work together now?
She does a little bit of work with us, with Humanities Team, not much. She was in the middle of it for so many years. It was like, oh my God, I don't want to. And it's awkward, where because now I would never say, have you done, or you do this, boy, don't tell your spouse something like that, whoa, you want to get in trouble.
You learned your lesson. Okay.
But I will say, and this is, I get into this in the book, but I was led, just like the still small voice led me to so many things that got me here, led me to her. I share that back in that time frame, it was the weirdest thing happened to me, because I was an entrepreneur growing like crazy, and I kept getting this thought dropped into my head of, you need to date and marry a spiritual woman. And I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm like, okay. And I'll give it, I love God, and I was much more spiritual than your average guy, but still it was like, why do I keep getting this in my head? It's like, enough already. I hear you. Okay.
Wow. But did you meditate or go to church or do anything about it?
We go to church. And so now these days, my life every day is a meditation.
Oh, yeah.
Say this is a meditation. So it's all, we understand on the conscious journey, it's all, we're spiritual beings, and there's a lot that we can do to be in that connected space where, instead of the roller coaster I was describing earlier, where it's like drift diving. If you've gone scuba diving or snorkeling, where you just, in your Cozumel, you just put your arms out and you just drift. It is the easiest thing, which is what my life is now. And it's not that I don't encounter challenges, I do, but I'm in the space of connection to this whole universe around me, to nature, in that still small voice, where I'm not staying off of the rails on both sides of me, where I'm autonomous living. And So it's smoother. This is the true prosperity. This is the real gold, not what you would find going to Silicon Valley or New York City.
Wonderful. So you said your son is also involved with the company, and do you have, what does he do? And do you have other family members that have joined?
So my daughter then is going to NYU, the Tisch School. She wants performing arts as her thing. She'll go in the fall.
Congratulations to her.
Thank you. Yeah, she's real excited, and we're excited for her. And they all grew up, in a very spiritual home, as you can imagine. So this whole one with God and one with each other, one with the planet and the universe, they totally get that. And it's not that they walk around like parroting these lines, because they don't at all. Teenagers going into their early 20s, they have their own life they want to live. There's certainly a lot of love and respect for me, but I wouldn't say they're just like walking right in my footsteps. My son does social media. So
wonderful. That's so exciting to get them involved in your company and to pay them, that's wonderful.
Yeah, Dylan is so talented, and he just created a video that as we're talking about conscious living, you want to get it down to like a 1 minute or 3 minute story, so people can just watch it and they totally get what it is. Especially because there's some abstract to this. So Dylan's been working with me on these videos that just where you watch the story and you can't miss what this is about.
Oh, wow. That's so wonderful to make a compelling video and get people to engage or to act and to click on your courses and other things. I mean, you offer so much with Humanity's Team. It's amazing. What is your definition of oneness?
So oneness is, a lot of times as people are starting to journey into this whole understanding, there's the sense that, we need to go, Steve and Humanity's Team is trying to create something new, oneness. But actually oneness is here now and always has been. Its ultimate reality is oneness. What oneness means, which, by the way, the reason I can say its ultimate reality is scientists are all over this now. So if any of your viewers or listeners haven't taken the time to follow science, I strongly recommend you do. So the Nobel Prize for Physics, October last year, was 3 gentlemen for entanglement. What is entanglement? If you look it up in the dictionary, you've got 2 things on different sides of the universe. There's no physical connection at all, and they're influencing and affecting each other. It's one of the properties of oneness. When we do the metaphysical, and we're, just like Joe Dispenza, where we're out not in the matter, above matter, which is called metaphysical, where we see these things and we strongly desire them. Esther Hicks, think of Abraham, who came out with a book 20 years ago. When we see into the future and feel it, an earth that's healing, a family that's reaching out all over the world, helping people to awaken, supporting people in the conscious journey, where we really feel into that, we do, we make that happen. We manifest that. So oneness is understanding. Let me just bring in one other scientist, Nassim Haramein, the Resident Science Foundation, if you want to Google him. He's a physicist. He's created masterclasses called Forbidden Science on our Humanities Team conscious streaming platform. So all of his research says everything is one, from quantum scale atoms, protons, to the largest universes, and everything in between, physical and non-physical, that everything is one. So the term he uses as a scientist, he says, so what that means is you are sovereign to this one body, to the universe, to the cosmos. And he said, so you should stand up straight and walk around, because the universe, the cosmos, couldn't exist without you. You are inseparable from the one, from this whole, where everything is a part of the one. And now, interestingly, Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God, says we are all one with God and each other and all of life. They're actually saying the exact same thing, but one is talking in spiritual terms, the other one in terms of science. So, and when we know that, not just here, logic center of our mind, but here, wisdom center of our soul, where we really know that and we live into that and we understand that God, the divine, is right here, right now. There is no separation. the Rumi thing is true, right? That we're not a drop into the ocean. The whole ocean is a drop that is us, right? That it actually is true that all of everlasting life, unlimited potential, it's all right here, right now. So we can do the metaphysical, we can be intentional, we can do these things, and we can actually create powerfully into the future. And with everlasting life, we understand this is a teeny, 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 teeny little chapter in our everlasting life. And we can decide, okay, with this little chapter here, what do I want to do in this world that's so challenged right now? Who do I want to be in response to these challenges that are going on, which is what we're doing in Humanities Team. So oneness is where we understand what ultimate reality is, and we harness the power of that oneness, and then we powerfully manifest, not for the little self, like Maseratis and 10 vacation homes and gold, in Switzerland banks. No, for the larger self, we're doing the metaphysical of, oh my God, every person is cared for. They're loved. They understand how loved they are. There's food, there's housing, that we steward this earth. We no longer do these stupid things that have created global warming. And so existential crisis, this term goes in the trash can. We don't need to think about it anymore. Why? Because we've made conscious living pervasive worldwide. So it's our larger self, where we're a part of the whole self with a capital S, that we're operating from in oneness. It's what we actually naturally do, because we're actually designed that way. As Nassim Haramein, a physicist, says, he says, your DNA, you are genetically designed to be part of a whole. Now, he hasn't said this, but I'll say this. What that means is, I know people that have made so much money, they're off on yachts and the best wines, and pretty girls or guys everywhere. And life is terrible. And it's like, my God, they hit the lottery. I mean, the nicest yachts and boats and planes and women and men and best wines. And why? Because we're not designed that way. We're actually not designed to live as a smaller self, or genetically, we are not designed that way. And
you mean the smaller self is like from the ego and the 3D?
Yeah, the me, I want to do this for me, as opposed to the we. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. So how does diversity come into this concept of oneness, or murderers, or negative people, violence, and this oneness? This is on an energetic level. I mean, so can anyone connect with this? And what is the purpose of that contrast, of that different type of person that isn't in tune with this oneness?
Well, so first, the diversity, which is really important. When we talk about oneness, we really need to talk about diversity in oneness, because it's not a homogenized larger self. We all are on the exact same, doing the same thing, walking around as robots. No, just the opposite. In fact, your gifts are very different. Or my gifts very different from her gifts. Our gifts are just extraordinary, and the divine or universe, whatever term we want to use, is just holding the sticks, and this beautiful music is playing when it's oneness, where we're all giving our gift. So, which is extremely different. And it's like the Olympics, when you watch them walk around in all these different colors, and men and women in different clothes. And it's like, everybody is like, oh my God, this is so stunning. That's the diversity and oneness. Now, as to
I love it.
All these things going on. The Little Soul in the Sun, which was one of the early books that of Conversations with God that came out, reduces this whole conscious living thing to if you had to get it down to one simple script, it's this. It's a kid's book. This is actually the video my son Dylan and I are working on right now in an animation video. But what this animation video or book says is, there's this little soul in the non-physical realm that goes to what's called the big soul, we could call that God, and says, I want to be the light. I want to be the light. I don't want to just know the light, because in the non-physical realm, if you follow mediums and NDEers, right, we all know it's just pure love, right? That's all it is, pure love. We know nothing
near death experience for those. Didn't catch
Third
the
experience. Yes. Right. So that's what we know. And the little soul says, I know that we're pure. I know that it's all that's here. I want to be the light. And the big soul says, well, if you want to be the light, there's only one way to be. You need to be birthed then back into a body where there's a lot of darkness. You can't be the light without the contrast of darkness. You can't be tall if you don't see short, right? We can keep going with that. So the little soul says, good, then put me in a body. I want to be the light. And the little soul comes down and sees there are all of these people. There are many people being not very nice, not very helpful, thoughtful, not forgiving, et cetera, et cetera. But the little soul holds on to, okay, I'll be the light in the face of adversity. I'm going to be that best person, that my biggest self, my larger self. I'm going to be the light, in this experience. And then at the end, the little soul goes back to the big soul, and the divine says, well, I did it. I was the light. I was the light. And the big soul, you were beautiful. Nicely done. That's if you want to reduce this whole thing down to what we're doing here, there's your story.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love that's in a children's book. I have to get that book too. In addition to Steve's book, if you have kids, get that. I'm a children's book author. And so I just love that you're doing this and promoting it. Are you partners with Neil on this children's book as well?
Well, Neil is we're partnered on everything in the humanities team. We actually haven't told him yet about this particular project, but he created a new masterclass, with a free program in front of it. It's something we've never done before. It's for this conscious, making conscious living pervasive worldwide initiative of ours. And he created 8 modules. I created 8 modules. It's coming out here in about a month. And we're going to let people price it themselves. So we've never done that before, where we're going to say, look at the value of here. Consider the value, please. Also consider how your ability to pay. And if you don't have any money, you really can't afford to pay anything, then we'll give it to you for free. And if you can, if you see the value and you can afford to pay for it, we invite you to, pay for it and even pay for it generously. So yeah, that program's coming out soon. It's the latest collaboration of Neil and me, but we work on things all week, every week.
Oh, that's so incredible. Can you share the story of how you met him and how you felt drawn to reach out to him?
So in the 1990s, when this whole hyper growth thing was going on, I read Neil's book, Conversations with God, book 1, 1995, this was my awakening thing. And I got on his newsletter, and his newsletter reached out and said, is there anybody out there with a substantial company that's done anything with these conversations with God concepts? And candidly, I thought everybody in the world was going to respond, because Conversations with God was on the New York Times bestseller list for 137 weeks. Larry King, ABC, NBC, they all were interviewing Neil. Everybody had the book on their bedstand. I thought, I'm just one of thousands saying, yeah, I have. As it turns out, I was one of the few that responded to Neil. And so he and his wife said, oh, would you come up and, could we have dinner and you could meet everybody at the foundation? So Stephanie and I flew up there. And I met Neil in the late 1990s. That was how we started then a couple of years later to launch Humanities Team together.
What an honor, right? That's incredible. Were you excited?
Yeah, I was very excited. I was, yeah. And so we've known each other a long time. We're both very different, extremely different, but we know we embodied to be here right now to do what we're doing. And in the back to the late 1990s, it's kind of neat to know somebody that is so devoted, that with everything that's been going on since then, Neil is 1,000% every single day. I am too. I am 1,000% in every single day. And it's kind of a neat kindred spirit thing when you relate to each other that way.
Yeah, that's incredible. His work has really moved me. Him and Wayne Dyer were my first spiritual teachers, through books and conferences and everything. So do you want to talk more about your latest book, A New Universal Dream? What inspired you to write this?
The thing that inspired, first of all, I was told to write it because I didn't necessarily want to write a book.
Oh.
And I've got such a busy schedule with humanities team, my partners and colleagues all over the world. But years back, probably 7-8 years ago, I really got the download of, okay, write the book and tell the story, the true story, a memoir in that sense, the 50-year journey. Now, why? I think there were a couple of reasons why that I was told to write this book. One is, again, the unlikely possibility that you'd have a kid. I was the third oldest of 7 with a divorced mom, going from that little home to the center, and I do mean the center of wealth creation in Silicon Valley, the largest venture capital companies. Gavin Newsom, who, and he's one of 50 that were there, in my chapter. So I'm right there in the center of it. And then just, again, my still small voice, honoring it, seeing it, understanding it, saying this is really not where I'm supposed to be, and selling it, leaving it all, and doing this complete U-turn where I go off on this conscious journey as a pioneer myself, and now with partners and colleagues all over the world, where we really are reaching really millions of people with our work. So that story, which is so unlikely, and it brings people into private planes and private ski resorts. And, why would a guy leave that? Why did you do that? To tell the story of what I saw and why I did it. But then maybe the more important reason I think I wrote the book was to just, for the reader, to have a guide. This conscious journey is enormously challenging. I shared when I made my decision to leave everything, sell everything, move on. I had family flying out of, what are you doing? Get a grip on yourself, Steve. Let's not lose it here, right? It's very challenging. I'm guessing there are people all over the world going through that challenge now, to be able to hear my lessons learned along the way and offer tools. I stop throughout the book and say, this is what I learned. This is a tool from this. And I do that throughout the book so that the reader who's on a conscious journey, I think, can, even if they take away 1/10 of those lessons learned and tools, they're going to have a pretty nice handbag there when they finish reading the book.
That's great. And so did you start writing this 7 years ago?
I did. Yeah. As a memoir, I got into great detail. We ended up cutting a lot out, making a lot of changes. Neil actually came in and edited it for 3 months himself. We really put a lot into this book because we, again, we're just looking at how can we create a book that's a 50-year true story that can offer the maximum value to the reader at this time when, as we know, we're in the middle of this pivot right now, right? This great shift or great awakening is happening right now. We're well into it. This is an important moment, and we want to provide all the tools, insight, vision, steps, everything we can right now to people all over the world that are participating in this.
Yeah, I feel like it's an incredible time to be alive, and writing this book is so timely because it feels like there's this momentum for people awakening, and this desire with meditation apps becoming more popular, and all these people seeking, and ayahuasca ceremonies or different journeys. People have their own way of becoming awakening, but it's the seeking. It's this whole like unified energy of like wanting more, and I'm feeling that too, just like this desire to just, yes, I want to be connected. I want to feel more. I want to help more people. And I think it's happening to everyone, whether they're aware of it or not.
It is, yeah. And the beautiful thing is, one of the things I talk about here in the book is is the new spirituality. And if you've read Neil's Conversations with God books, you're familiar with the term new spirituality. This is the deliciousness, the juicy thing that I think years from now, 5-10 years from now, that we're all going to be talking about and living. Because this is when I was talking about the drift diving, where we're in flow, where it just feels so good the way we're living. We sleep really well. We're awake and knowing what our purpose is. We gather with coworkers who share our values, that we're just this whole delicious, we're not afraid of death, except that we're going to very much miss people, right, that our loved ones. So it's not like we just want to check out because we've got these loved ones here on the planet, but we understand going on to the next chapter and the one after that, our continuation day is not something to be feared. So the new spirituality, I think, is what will emerge out of this. It's going to change everything on the planet, our relationships, the way we live our life, education, healthcare, everything will change because we'll really live into the fullness of this whole, I'm a spiritual being, and I just happen to be inhabiting this body right now.
Yeah, interesting. Do you have a consulting arm of your business that helps corporations embrace this consciousness that you're trying to achieve?
We have partners that are inside of our business. There's one that does our weekly program called Soul Circles, Dr. Jonathan Ellerby. This is what he does. We partner with him. He goes into the largest, most prestigious companies and works with them. So we haven't developed like a formal codified practice, but we can go into any organization, talk to any person, go to any country in any language, and reach out.
Yeah, I just think that would be amazing. I mean, you already have a partner that's doing it, but with your business background and then integrating this consciousness, I think would be so incredible. And I would assume would increase productivity and efficiency and connection and desire to work and perform for the organization.
Yeah, right now with the book, especially out, this is the calling, and my organization, my partners and colleagues are supporting me, and I've been in the middle of a lot of things as we're growing our streaming platform and Global Oneness Summit and these things. But they're saying, Steve, just we'll take it. You just get out there, whether it's in front of businesses or but this is our moment. We really, this wave here, oneness, the new spirituality, whatever we want to call it, this great awakening, we can feel it. It's coming in. There's a depth to it. It's getting bigger and deeper. And we want to just contribute in all the ways that we can to that.
Yeah, that's incredible. So why is this saying so important to you? No problem can be solved with the same level of consciousness that created it.
So that's one of the Albert Einstein quotes. And actually, so I've got the full quote right here.
Okay.
The thing I love about this is 75 years ago, Albert Einstein shared this quote, which just puts a finger right on the problem and the solution. Everything I'm talking about is in this quote 75 years ago. It's just astonishing. He had this wisdom. So here's the full quote. A human being is a part of a whole called by us the universe. He's a scientist, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and his feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. Our task must therefore be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circles of compassion and embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. So everything we've been talking about here, the problem that there's this optical delusion of, well, we're all separate. You're separate from me and we're separate from the earth. And we're just walking around, and I'll do with my little family, we'll put a fence post around me and my family. We'll just kind of take care of ourselves. Bam, it's right here. And then, but we got to let's get out of prison. How do we do that? Oh my God, it's just an optical delusion. We actually are all, there are 8 billion faces of the one here, including the earth. Wow, we better widen these fence posts to take into consideration all of life here on the earth, and for that matter, in the universe, right? Start dreaming a new dream, this dream of an awakened humanity, this dream where we are a maturing species and we're no longer walking around, UFOs. Even 10 years ago, if you said, oh, I believe in UFOs, most people say, oh, are you a tree hugger? Are you a new ager? And today, almost everybody, blue or red state, would say, yeah, they're probably UFOs. I mean, it's now, right? Yeah. So maturing as a species where we understand, there's life in the universe, that we can open ourselves to the one, that we can be we can be in this metaphysical experience where we're creating, where we are energy beings, and we can raise our vibration, where we are developing our psychic skills. We can lift the veil. We can connect with loved ones, angels, and guides. So we're understanding now this whole multidimensional being that we are. And that's where we start, where we understand that and live into it. Now we're the mature species that we were destined to be. That's what this whole conscious living by 2040 thing is.
Oh, fascinating. I love how that tied into your mission and goal. What is Zen success to you?
So success is, it's not the sugar high. It's not the mirage thing, which I saw, which the mirage thing, by the way, is where your company gets to $1 billion in sales. We're at $1 billion in sales. You celebrate. Now we're going for $2 billion. You get to $2 billion. Now we're going to $4 billion. There's no, it's a mirage. There's just, you're never there. You're never at the oasis. It's always out on the horizon. Then it's a sugar high and celebration for 24 hours when you get there, because you're then headed in after more and more and more of that. That's this whole hit the jackpot, got to keep it going. It's the ethereal. It's this short-lived thing. It's the smaller self thing, a sugar high where it feels so good for 10 seconds. True success is what this deliciousness of life stuff that we're talking about, the drift diving, where your partner and your friends and your coworkers, they love you for who you are, where you understand you're an inseparable part of the one. You understand you are adored by the universe, by God, where we're now like here. This program, I'll call it loving service. We're just sharing truths. We're trying to maybe provide a tool or two that might be valuable to listeners and viewers, where we're in service to that. Let's do that each day. So this is the contrast: sugar high, ethereal, or lasting deliciousness, really feeling good that it is continuing, being in drift diving and in flow instead of roller coaster up and down. So there's this very strong contrast between, or fool's gold and real gold, a strong contrast between one definition of success, power, fame, and fortune, and another definition of success, which is where we really are living into the fullness of who we are.
That's incredible. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and hearing about your latest book, A New Universal Dream. I'll put your website and how to pre-order the book in the show notes, and check out anewuniversaldream.com and stevefarrell.org. Thanks for being on my show today, Steve.
Thank you, Carissa. Yeah, delight. And we'll have to definitely have tea or coffee here sometime, being right in the area. So thank you.
My pleasure.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Zen Success is also available on the radio in select markets through amfm247.com. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to zensuccessshow.com to help you on your Zen Success journey, and join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.